Hey everyone. Welcome to the post-game show of the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Giants. What the hell was that? You are talking about a very beaten Giants team starting Tyrod Taylor and down to the wire. Like, what the hell was that? Paul here from Hashtag Sports. Thank you very much for joining us. We want to thank our sponsor, Mr. Rogers Homes. Listen, Sean Rogers won't go into a cave and come out and go play for the Jets. He's a good man. He'll get you a home in Arizona if you're interested in investment properties. But now that we got a little bit of the business out of the way, let's go back to a little bit of what I invested my Sunday evening in. And oh my God. So you had Josh Allen throwing for 169 yards. You look at the stats, you say, okay, well, Buffalo clearly just wanted to play ball control today. No, they didn't. No. Stephon Diggs had 16 targets tonight. 16. The rest of the Bills team combined for 13. That is terrifying. That Giants team was so prepared for Buffalo. And you're talking about a Giants team that literally started a left guard that they signed a week ago and then moved to left tackle. And he was able to keep Leonard Floyd, for the most part, under control. Vaughn was pretty much lined up on the right side. Vaughn really was a non-factor tonight. Tyrod did a great job of, getting out of some bad situations. And then they even gifted you the fact that Tyrod checked to a run thinking the Giants still had a timeout and was shocked to learn that they didn't, right? What was that, Weber back in the NCAA call a timeout they didn't have? Like, that's why he checked a run. He thought they still had timeout. They gave you that game, and they did everything they could to take it back. Buffalo team generating one fumble. Tyrod Taylor fumbles, recovers his own fumble. Gabe Davis gives a possession right away. You're talking, again, about this was the first half for Buffalo in their possessions. Punt on 3 plays, 3 yards, took less than a minute. Fumble on 6 plays, 40 yards, took 3 minutes. Punt on 5 plays for 38 yards, took 2 minutes. Punt on 3 plays for -1 yard, that took a minute. Missed field goal, 6 plays, 31 yards, that took 2 minutes. Interception, 5 plays, 29 yards, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. You left the first half scoring no points against a bad football team. The Giants are bad. They're a bad football team. Then the next half, you go touchdown on 17 plays for 89 yards because you remembered that running the ball is not illegal in the NFL. Then you followed it up with 12 plays for 75 yards. Let's give it up for Latavius Murray today getting dirty. Big round of applause for Latavius Murray. He's getting more and more. Actually got the start tonight. And this secondary is tough. And the linebacking group looks really young. There's a lot of problems. This went from, we were talking 2 weeks ago about how this could be a historic NFL defense. And I get it. They only gave up 9 points, right? So I know you people are saying, Paul, the building's not on fire. Building's on fire. It's on fire. Jim Tripp says, I'm so proud for closing RD in the closing seconds. Oh yeah, huge. I'm so happy right down to the last minute. Such an exciting game. Can you sense my sarcasm? So first off, that was absolutely pass interference on the last play of the game. It was pass interference on the play before that too, but it was absolutely, again, pass interference. And the Bills got away with that 3 times earlier in the game where you had corners who simply weren't turning back for the football. Benford did it once, Elam did it once, and I just don't remember the other one. But there were 3 in the game. It might have been the last one. It might have been that last one on Teron Johnson. But it was multiple times that I expected to see a flag because maybe the Jaguars game made me a little gun shy, right? Maybe it did. But I expected to see a flag because corner just didn't turn, right? Made no effort to turn. And I thought got a little early contact and nothing. This was a football game that they probably should have lost. They probably should have lost this game. I'm not saying the Giants were better than them. I'm just saying the Bills are lost. And the Ken Dorsey offense was unimaginative. I drink in the most creative this offense is going to get with the Deontay Hardy touchdown. Drink that in. That is as creative as this offense gets. And I'm sad for that, because when your offense is struggling, the first half you scored 0 points, and your response was, well, let's just run the football. They're clearly trying to take anything 7 yards and in away, so let's just run the football. Okay, that's fine, but no pre-snap motion, no wrinkles. You saw Dawson Knox lined up in the backfield a couple times. That's neat. Dawson dropped that pass by Josh. I got to be honest with you, Josh came up his shoulder. Josh underthrew a couple passes that he normally doesn't underthrow. And I know that he took some contact in the first half, and that's why he ended up going to the medical tent, was shoulder. That the team didn't like how he fell on his shoulder, rolling to the right, when he got hit right around like the 4-yard line. Team didn't like what his shoulder looked like. So they let Kyle Allen go in there, hand the ball off. Kyle Allen, still 0 pass attempts. Nothing like hiding your backup quarterback, huh? And yeah, I know Joe had a tough time calling this game. This was a piss poor performance. This was a team you absolutely should have curb stomped. Anybody that is saying that the Bills are pretenders, that's an easy argument to make right now. Don't be shocked when you see bulletin board material show up because you got beat by the Jaguars in London. Again, I do think that there is something to the fact that the Jags played back-to-back games there. I will stand on that, because you look at the game that happened early this morning and you're like, okay, these teams played terrible. It was not a good football game. And then you come back, and that's not an easy adjustment either. Then you come back, and then you play a Giants team that they should have been out of the game in the first 10 minutes. Like, if you're drawing this up ahead of time, you're just thinking that they're going to be out of this game in the first 10 minutes. Daboll knows a bit, but Daboll doesn't know everything that you're doing. He's never, Sean was the head coach, yes, but the previous defensive coordinator's no longer there. So the things that Daboll knew were, I'm sure, helpful, but shouldn't have been completely it shouldn't have been able to completely stymie the offense in the first half. Kudos to the Giants for being able to keep the Bills off the board the entire first half, something no team's done all season. Good for them. But this offense was unimaginative. They lacked any ability to get the ball in the hands of playmakers. You've got Trent Sherfield, which we're still waiting to show up. He's only in there in blocking situations, which I just simply don't understand. Deontay Hardy, again, he showed up today. That's neat. But no pre-snap motion, nothing to make life easy, nothing to create wrinkles. It's just so frustrating. And Mario tweeted this, and Paul Berg, I know you agree here. Can Elam be blocked out of the building, please? Mario tweeted, I'm just done with Kaiir Elam. The Buffalo needs to be active here in the trade market. They just signed Josh Norman. I'm waiting to hear somebody say that they're excited about that. I don't. No. Nope. I think people are pretty much done with Elam. And he's chasing his tail out there, right? He's chasing his tail out there. A hell of an athlete, right? But he's crossed up big time right now. And he's not getting any help. Now, mind you, right? I think the bigger problem, because this team has a tendency to be able to develop and find corners. So I think they'll figure something out there. I think Elam's going to continue to get the start, because from an athlete perspective, he's probably the best athlete out of the cornerback room that's healthy right now. The linebacking group still scares me a little bit. Dorian Williams took some really bad angles, shut down some gaps that he just simply had no business stepping into. The Giants were able to break off a couple nice runs. They've schemed very well. And again, that Giants offensive line is not great. And I think you saw today that without Daquan Jones, the interior really doesn't have much teeth to it. Ed Oliver could have ended the game with a wrap-up sack and killed that last Giants drive. Tyrod Taylor bounced off his chest. I just think the interior defensive tackle position is really showing the fact that they're not dynamic. They're not dynamic at all. And that's a big problem. It's a big problem because that defensive line needs to be able to cover for the linebackers. They need to be able to give those linebackers. You got to be able to generate pressure with four. And that group right now, just the defensive tackle position, you spent a lot of money at that defensive tackle position. And honestly, they're just playing like a bunch of guys the last 2 weeks without Daquan Jones. Daquan Jones really was the straw that stirred the drink there. They do not have an answer for that. They do not have a replacement for that. And that shows. And that sucks because you had Daquan Jones, Tim Settle, Ed Oliver, and just a litany of guys that had come through that you're paying a fair amount of money to, and yet you can't give your linebackers a little space. It's just frustrating. I don't blame Terrell Bernard. I think he's doing the absolute best that he can. Dorian Williams, as I said, is a fish out of water right now. I don't think his gap recognition looks great at all. Von Miller was a complete non-factor in this game. I know he's still coming back. I didn't expect to see much of him today, but it has been bad. That defensive line you put a lot of money on, and the last 2 weeks you didn't get any of the money that you paid back, because that defensive line needs to be able to give that linebacker group time, and they need to be able to cover for the corners, and they just can't right now. And here's where this is frustrating. Your head coach is a defensive coordinator, and your assistant head coach is your defensive line coach. So if there's ever been a focus, it'd be fixing the corners and getting that defensive line to be more to generate pressure better. Because the easiest thing that defensive ends will do, and you saw Buffalo do this an awful lot tonight, is the defensive ends go wide. Because again, with a real weak offensive line, you could cut Justin Pugh around the corner. And that's what they tried to do all game, right? Leonard Floyd just kept trying to take real wide angles. And Terrada's not a quarterback you can really do that with, because he'll just step up or run out. And it was real frustrating to watch the ends take real wide angles. And it was all game. And it never got addressed, and it never got adjusted. It was wide angle after wide angle after wide angle. And I don't blame Rousseau, and I don't blame Floyd, and I don't blame Vaughn, and I don't blame Shaq. I blame the coaching staff for not making that adjustment. Now, we do have to give credit here. The defense really dialed in the second half. They made adjustments, and while they did give up some big runs in the second half, ultimately they were able to keep everything in front of them. The offense, you again took what you could. But the fact of the matter is, this Giants team had something. I have to double check the stat. I want to say 19 third down attempts. Yeah, they were 10 of 19. 10 of 19. That's an anemic offense when you have 19 third down conversions. That's pitiful. You should score no points when you have 19 third down attempts. That's pitiful. The Bills were at 12. They were 6 of 12. The Giants were 10 of 19. And the Bills up until going into week 4 had given up 9 third down conversions the entire season. They gave up 10 today to the Giants. That's just ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. There's a lot that has to improve. One, this offense was solely running through Stephon Diggs today and whatever running back they had in there. That doesn't last long. Doesn't last long. Can't do that. That's unacceptable. That's not a recipe for success, and that is easy to counter. The Bills went out and got Deontay Hardy and Trent Sherfield, thinking that this will open up Gabe, and yet they still can't utilize those two players in any form or fashion. You really showed why you're missing Dalton Kincaid. I think those 4 or 5 targets, boy, did the offense feel different without Dalton Kincaid tonight. Oh my goodness gracious. It was a tough game to watch. It is a tough game to watch. Yeah, Sean, I'm glad the Bills got the win, but man, I'm nervous moving forward. Paul, talk us off the ledge. The pretty steep cliff there, Sean. Moving forward. So what did we learn from today? One, we learned Dalton Kincaid is a critical piece to this offense because Buffalo cannot move the ball to other receivers without him. Again, Diggs walks away with 16 targets. The rest of the receiver group didn't have 16 targets combined. Running backs splits in the first half versus the second half, night and day difference. Kudos to Latavius Murray for just being a bull and keeping the chains moving. Prayers to Damian Harris. Hope everything's okay. I hopefully that's just precautionary. Could move his arms and legs. Obviously, he was very concerned when he went down because a trainer was moving his legs for him to see if he could move them or had sensation in them. And scary sights. So prayers to Damian Harris. I hope everything. I hope that was all just precautionary. But if you're Buffalo, there's a few things you need to figure out. One, it's you probably need to get into the trade market for a corner, and you need to do it right now. I saw somebody early in the chat mention Levi Wallace is in a contract year. You know, it's not a bad idea. Let me give credit where credit's due. Hold on. I got to scroll back to the beginning. It was a while ago. Here it is. Stephen Gorney, Levi Wallace is on an expiring deal. What do you think they would want for him? Is a fourth too steep? Listen, everybody knows the cupboards are bare in Buffalo right now. You could play Ingram, the practice squad corner that they have, but played great in the preseason. He did dress for the last game, so you saw him in there a little bit. But you need to go find yourself a corner because you're making your life real hard on your safeties and real hard on your linebackers. As far as linebacker goes, I think today showed you again. Bernard is really good in coverage. Dorian Williams is just running with like a chicken with his head cut off at times. And your defensive tackle position is not the position that you're paying for right now. You can't make any additions to that. You simply can't afford it. And that's another problem is the Bills have spread a lot of their money so thin. Because they spent a lot of money at a lot of positions, and they don't have a ton of money to go make the magic happen. It's just the truth. They don't have a lot of money, so you don't want to. I mean, you just kind of expect the Bills to go acquire a player, but it may come a point where you have to deal a player on the opposite side of that, and that may be, a player who's riding hot right now, and like AJ Epinesa. When Von Miller's healthy, how functional is AJ Epinesa? Maybe that's not what you want, right? And other teams would value Epinesa. You get, you corner the market because he's about to be a free agent. You corner the market on, a player that's playing out of his freaking mind right now. And when Von's healthy, Epinesa is not going to get, he's going to lose snaps. He's going to lose a lot of snaps because they're probably going to play Shaq Lawson over him in that spot. So, maybe Epinesa is somebody that you can move and again kind of change some dollars around and be able to go get a corner or maybe go get a linebacker. I think you're calling Christian Kirksey and begging him to stop the idea that he's retired. You got to do something at that interior linebacker spot. The kids are doing the best they can, man. The best they can, but you lost arguably your best defensive player in Matt Milano, and without a doubt, your most impactful interior defensive lineman in Daquan Jones. And unfortunately, that happened to you last year too. You lost Daquan Jones for quite a bit of time, and Jordan Phillips just doesn't fill that void for you. Ed Oliver is eating double teams right now, which was not the idea when you had him and Daquan Jones together. You thought that Daquan Jones would take the doubles. So you're missing that body there. I listen, I know you only gave up 9 points, right? But this offense is not in a position right now where the defense can be giving up long drives, right? The Giants simply looked at it and said, we're going to take up as much time as we can. We're going to give the Bills as few possessions as we can because Buffalo can score from anywhere on the field. I am very curious if Josh is going to show up on the injury report come Tuesday with some sort of shoulder issue. I would be surprised. Again, I didn't like the way that his arm angles got real low and don't like that. It's just the little things, right? Underthrew a couple passes. You don't normally see him. Yeah, it didn't look like he was favoring it, but the arm angle had dropped a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see. but Buffalo's got to go get a corner or a linebacker, and they really can't play conservative here. And I think that's something that a lot of Bills fans can really complain about over the last few years is when they've needed something, they've gone to what was available. So John Brown, Cole Beasley, trading for Dean Marlowe, like there's 31 other teams in the NFL. Half of them aren't very good. And half of them would love to take a player off of your team and give you a player of theirs. Buffalo's in a position where their roster is so deep that their players are going to be coveted by other organizations. You need to leverage that. But you got to go get a linebacker. That linebacker group is just struggling super bad right now, and I feel bad for them. Trek. AJ Klein might be the best option right now. No. God. Makes me want to put Bailey's in this. Good grief. So what do you do going forward? Well, let's look at the rest of the Bills' schedule. So you have the Patriots, the equally as dreadful New England Patriots, 1-5, 0-3 at home this season. The only game that they won was against the Jets, where they scored 15 points, scores 15-10. So far, this is the way it's gone for the Patriots, right? 20 points, 17 points, 10 points, 3 points, no points, 17 points. You read that right. The Patriots have only scored 20 or more points once. It was the season opener against the Eagles, and they have scored 17 points twice. That was against the Dolphins and the Raiders. They've got the Bills, Miami, and then the Commanders after that. The Patriots season is unequivocally over at this point. The Bailey Zappi has appeared in just as many games as Kyle Allen. The difference is Bailey Zappi was actually asked to play quarterback as opposed to, Kyle Allen, who just turned around and handed the ball off. John Calvin, you actually drinking coffee? Yep. Sure am. I feel like you can't walk into the Patriots game with the same energy, right? You can't. They're just as bad a football team as the Giants, and the Giants should have beat you today. That 100%. Tyrod thought they had a timeout on the goal line and gave that one back to you. And then that was absolutely pass interference in the end zone to end the game. The first one was pass interference where they put it on the 1. And what is it? Oh, my God. How many times do we have to look at a 3rd and inches, a 3rd and 1, and see the Bills in shotgun? And then you see Dable do the same freaking thing. Why? When your quarterback is 6'5" and 265 pounds, why the hell are you taking snaps in shotgun in short yardage situations? It is to Josh's benefit that under center things get a little messy on the interior. That is to Josh's benefit because they're going to have to commit players to the interior part of the offensive line. So what the hell are you doing taking snaps out of shotgun with no pre-snap motion in short yardage situations? And you saw Dable do it today. Why is this the thing? Stop it. God. Yeah, the pistol. Let's bring back the single wing offense. Nobody will be prepared for that. Worked great for Tebow in Denver for a little bit. Didn't he win a game where he threw like 8 passes? The long story short, there's a lot of things that have to improve following this Giants game. And hopefully, and I thought the Giants would be a get-right game. You lost in London. Things clearly didn't look great. I was saying, okay, well, listen, you got Dable, but there's not enough familiarity at this point. I'd be pretty comfortable saying that what the Bills defense can do. And that offensive line is terrible. Daniel Jones was out. I was like, I'm not really worried about this. And Dable was able to find the gaps. Wan'Dale Robinson, right? We just kept wiggling open because the Giants don't have a number one receiver. They don't. They have a bunch of number three receivers. And boy, if you're a Bills fan, doesn't that feel familiar, right? That wasn't all that long. Actually, when Dable was here, that's what happened, right? So I hope, it is my hope, that you go in and treat the Patriots like every other team has treated the Patriots. That's my hope. I don't know. There's a lot that has to change. Because the offensive line is holding up fine. Can't really complain about that. But the complete lack of ability to get these receivers open quicker makes this quick hit offense that they want to run a real challenge. Because when Josh needed to throw the ball, what did you see him not do anymore? When the Bills had scored no points in the first half, what did you see Josh do? Josh started drifting back in the pocket and buying time again. And he just let guys try and get open. Just wait for them to get open. The scheme was out the window. You have guys who could get open in a phone booth. You have dangerous players. Deontay Hardy is a wild player to have. That's a wild bullet in the gun. And you just cannot figure out a way to get him on the field at all. That's just not good enough, especially with Kincaid out today. You should have seen a whole bag of tricks. Nothing. Totally nothing. We call this game Dick Soup. It was Dick Soup. A hot pot. Terrible. Terrible. Completely unoriginal. Just awful. So what do the Patriots do that Buffalo is going to struggle with? Well, the Patriots are going to run the football in the interior. Ramondre Stevenson should be back. He was out for a little bit. This game, he's expected. Everything looks like he'll be ready to go next week. The Patriots do not throw the football exceedingly well. They do not have wide receiver weapons like the Giants do, as far as guys who can get open in short spaces quickly. The defense is below average. Just below average. But these defenses aren't doing anything fancy right now to beat this Bills offense. Like that's what's so crazy to me, is you're not seeing these exotic looks at the line. You're not seeing defenses do anything crazy to try and fool Allen. They're just going and playing football. And I guess that's probably what bothers me most, is the fact that when you take a team like the Giants, who 100% had to win today, they had to win today. They had to beat Buffalo. And you just see them not doing anything amazing and still winning the football game for the vast majority. Like, what the hell? Right? That is just frustrating. All you had to do was run the ball more. I do give Dorsey credit for the fact that he said, listen, let's just run it a little bit and see what happens. Right? I give Dorsey credit for that. This is a great comment by Anthony John. We have the capability to dominate every single team from here on out. Well, yes, but you should have dominated the team tonight. Even with the injuries, just got to tell the guys that every game is a Super Bowl. You should have dominated the Giants today. If you don't, like, the narrative is going to be Buffalo's a paper tiger. You're going to hear that all week. And I don't know if there's a defense for it right now. But you have to go out and just mollywop the Patriots, because the Patriots are playing like a USFL team. Like, you got to go out and mollywop them, and you have to make this offense exciting, and it's just not. Diggs getting 16 targets is unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. you signed 2 receivers that you kept on the roster for a reason, and I don't even know if they've got 20 targets on the year combined. So it's just unacceptable. Be better. I don't know what else to say, right? Like, be better. It's not Josh. It's not James Cook, who's looked good. Latavius Murray has looked good. The offensive line has looked good. Shocker. The offensive line doesn't suck ass like I thought they were going to at the beginning of the season, but you need to get better. You need to get more creative. This is unacceptable. Imagine a world where Stephon Diggs doesn't play this entire game. Imagine that. Brutal. And you know, you bag on Josh saying, oh, Josh, you need to make more high percentage throws. Well, he was leading the league in completion percentage. And you almost lost to a team who's won a single game this season. And you lost to a Jaguars team that is not as good as you. Even with the injuries, they're still not as good as you. Come on. Come on. Be better. It's just frustrating. And maybe it's just the trials and tribulations of a defensive head coach in this era of football, right? Maybe this is just the trials and tribulations, because you have a defense that, again, just held somebody to 9 points. And here I am complaining about that, right? And rightfully so, in my opinion. Rightfully so. Because if you look at what the Bills have given up, right? Let's look at what the Bills have given up. The Bills have given up, let's see here, 22 points, 10 points, 3 points, 20 points, 25 points, and now 9 points. So obviously the worst was the season opener against the Jets. That was 22. And then that's it. Paul, what are you complaining about? Statistically, there's still probably a top 10 defense. Okay. Not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Even a team like the Bucs, who you're going to see in a couple weeks, with Godwin and Evans, are going to abuse this secondary. Completely abuse it. Even with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, they're going to completely abuse the secondary. And a healthy Joe Burrow the week following that, come on. Like, you need to figure this out tonight and be ready for the Patriots team and beat the ever-living hell out of them. And then you need to figure out that secondary now. And you need to figure out that linebacking group now, because you can't bring Tampa into town, and you can't go to Cincinnati, because those receivers will gobble you up if this is what you're going to roll out there. You can't do it. I hate to be so negative, right? I really do. I hate to be so negative, but things just have to improve. There's just no way around it. And poor Tyler Bass, perfect all season, misses 2 field goals. Mind you, offense should be better. He shouldn't be kicking every field goal from 50 yards. It's bound to happen. It was bound to happen. But I still feel bad for Tyler Bass. Both of them wide right, because of course it was against the Giants. Of course we missed every field goal wide right. Why not? Ugh. So frustrated the first time that happened. I was sitting on the floor in front of my couch. I was like, of course you missed it, right? And then the next one, I was like, really? We missed them both wide right. Either way, Bills walk away with a victory. Lots to improve. And Buffalo's got to be active here. Trade deadline's coming up. It is what it is, man. Got to get this house in order. And you have to take the pressure off that defense. Your offense has to start running drives that are 4 or 5 minutes long, because you got to give this defense some space. You got to give them room to breathe. You got to give those young players an opportunity, and that defensive line has to do something other than expose your linebackers and corners. And the last 2 weeks, that's really what they've done. I know what the stat sheets say. Talking on a play-by-play basis, it's not what you need, right? You need this defense to start containing more across that defensive line instead of having sack hunting by taking really wide angles. And that's what the Bills are doing right now. You got to hone that in. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. Yeah, your sack numbers will be great, but the fact of the matter is, how many sacks did the Bills walk away with? 2 today? 1? Let me look. Today Bills had 3 sacks for 15 yards. What's that? Right? What's that? 15 yards on 3 sacks. It's just frustrating, right? All the talent in the world, and it just crumbled in front of you in London. Crumbled. Oh, it's heartbreaking. All right, guys. Paul from #Sports. Mario and I think we're going to cut some episodes tomorrow, so you should hear from us throughout the course of the week. Have a wonderful week. Always go Bills. And listen, they'll figure it out, man. They'll have to. They'll have to, I guess. I don't know. Have a good night, guys.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!